and we'll get the call started. So this is Wednesday, June 17th, and it's the Enriching Gifts Education call. It sounds like we have a tired, fearless leader here on the call with us tonight, Mr. Ronald Schneider. He gives back freely of his time. And so, Ron, we just hope to give you some energy to get you through the call here. So like you said, you're not yawning throughout it. And it's not because you're bored. I know just how hard you're working and doing some things there. So, but I want to say welcome to the call, and we really appreciate you taking the time to be here. It's good to hear your voice.
Yeah, no, I've been up since 3:30 this morning, so it's been a really long day.
Sure. Well, why don't we get into the call so we could utilize your time most effectively. And if there's anyone on the call that has a question for Ron, if anyone's dealing with some type of situation in life that Ron may be of service, please reach out and step out there. Anyone have any questions for Ron? That's what these calls are typically about, is giving Ron the platform to educate us all and share with us. And a lot of times that is what we're dealing with, and or our family and or people that we're connected to. So these Wednesday night calls, we like to keep an open forum and let it be organic and just take the call where it's supposed to go. So with that being said, Ron, anything you want to add to that, and or do you just want to open it up and we'll take some questions?
No, I think we'll just open it up. I mean, I did have a couple of conversations today, actually earlier in the day when I was up on the roof with shingles and stuff, about a woman with breast cancer. Her and her daughter had called in and stuff. And again, I just want to remind everybody, there's more than one way to approach disease and illness that exists in the human body. It doesn't always have to be an aggressive chemotherapy or a radiation that destroys part of your body in the process of the treatment. And I just always want to remind people that, when you talk about trying to get rid of a disease or a debilitating condition in the human body, you got to look at the immune system. And first and foremost, you got to be able to digest, and not only digest the meals so your body gets nutrition to function with, but to get rid of all the toxicity in the bloodstream so your immune system at least has a fighting chance to do something for you at improving your condition of life or eliminating that disease or illness. Because without a clean blood system, you're going to struggle no matter what therapy you choose, medical or natural. That's just the facts. And so I had a real long conversation today and yesterday as well, about that exact thing. The first thing you have to do is alter your diet. That has one of the biggest impacts on your human health there is. And people know this. They live from the fast food. They live from crap diet, sugars, the fats, and all the stuff. Clean up your diet, and you'll be amazed at how much your body will respond to just that alone. But the other thing is, everybody has this digestive enzyme deficiency in their life before the age of 35, 40 years old. And unless you address the deficiency of enzymes in the digestive process, you're going to struggle at finding any kind of positive results, especially long-term results of preventing and reversal of disease and illness. So with that being said, because like I said, I'm here today, but I'm just here limited. So if anybody has any questions that they'd like to ask on the call tonight, please go ahead, and now the time to have a conversation or ask your questions. Anybody have any questions for tonight's call at all about disease, illness, even health questions?
Ron, this is Ronnie.
Hi, Ronnie.
Just got a general question. So I work out a lot. I'm working out in the heat. I exercise a lot in the heat. And I ask myself a question sometimes when I start feeling kind of bad. I get a little bit shaky and feeling bad. So I've tried to pinpoint what is the difference in from getting too hot versus dehydration. I mean, when I Google it, the symptoms seem to be very similar. So I'm trying to figure out which one I'm doing wrong when I'm working out. Am I getting too hot or am I getting dehydrated? I try to drink a lot when I work out, but the symptoms seem to be very similar.
They are. They're very similar. And when you get really, really hot, When you say hot, you're talking about physical activity or out in the heat. That's going to raise up body temperature, but it's not going to create a fever. What it's going to cause your body to do is use up a lot of water through increased activity of cellular functioning. Because your muscles are working, you have more of your tissues engaged when you're outside and active, and that's going to actually create a dehydrated condition. That's why I tell people, if you're outside and it's warm, it's even hot, 80 degrees or more, and you're active at all, you should be really drinking about 3/4 of your body weight in ounces of waters to make sure that you stay hydrated. When I was living down in Phoenix, Arizona, one of the things they always tell everybody, and this is almost year-round down there, it's at least 10 months out of the year, always have at least 2 gallons of water in your trunk. If you break down along the freeway, you break down out in the desert, you break down, out at the lake. One of the fastest things that the body depletes of is water. You can go only for 2-3 days without water. You can go for literally weeks without food, but you can't go without water for more than 2-3 days, and then you really run the risk of dying, because the body will just run through water faster than anybody really understands or can even conceptualize, really. So I'm going to bet that you're probably thinking you're drinking a lot of water, but you're not drinking near enough water for the outside environment and the temperature that you actually have. It's almost always 95% of the time going to come down to a dehydration issue that makes you that shaky when you're out in the heat. The other thing is, do you actually eat? Because if you don't have food consumption, your body gets shaky, especially out in the heat, because there's the stress, and then you have the activity, so you're burning a lot of calories, and that can also make you shaky. Take a snack, whether it's Snicker bar or some kind of a sugar or carbohydrate. Always have some kind of a food with you. See if that doesn't get rid of that shakiness either. Because if you're feeling that on a regular basis, you should be able to identify it literally within 1-2 days. Just make sure you have a lot of water, and when you drink water, drink warm water in a hot situation, not cold, because your body won't absorb it into the bloodstream until it reaches body temperature. And that usually is going to take 20 minutes to a half hour if you're drinking ice cold water. So always when you're out in the heat and stuff, always drink warm, 70, 80 degree water. I know ice water feels refreshing and this and that, but it's the worst thing for you as far as trying to hydrate or rehydrate it from heat exhaustion. And then the other thing is carry that snack. See if that doesn't get rid of that shakiness.
Okay. Yeah, I usually take about 2 liters of water with me, and I typically walk for like an hour and a half, especially on the weekends. But unfortunately,
Right.
I have to walk after lunch, so I'm in the hot part of the day. And I will drink that 2 liters of water while I'm walking. And, it seems like after I get out there, it usually happens like not long after I'm out there.
Well,
and then
you said something You said something really interesting, Ronnie. So how long after that you've eaten do you take this walk?
It's usually about an hour to an hour and a half after I eat.
Okay, that's good, because minimum, it's just like swimming. You don't go swimming until an hour to hour and a half after you've consumed your meal, after you've finished it. Why is that? Because your digestive process consumes more energy than all the rest of your body put together. Almost 50 to 70% of your entire calories consumed in 24 hours are going to be used up just doing the digestive process. So if you're out walking too fast after you've eaten that meal, like a half hour later, and you're out walking using up all this energy from your muscle tissue to carry out your walking activity, you're going to get shaky and jittery because your body's going to shut down. It's going to use those calories to finish digesting that meal you just ate before you'll ever have it available to go and support that walk.
Yeah, I typically try to wait an hour. I generally eat about 11, and then I do my walk about 12. But yeah, sometimes I could be pushing that envelope a little bit.
Yeah, you want to make sure it's a minimum of an hour. I always tell everybody wait 2 hours. Even in an athlete, when you're in the gym, like I used to bodybuild, power lift with my buddy Tom and stuff, and I used to get on his butt all the time, and he finally figured it out. It's like, yeah, he's right. Hell, he used to go in there. He'd go to Denny's, literally in Denny's. You could walk right across the theater parking lot. It only took maybe 3-4 minutes, and we were in the gym. And he'd go eat at Denny's and then turn right around and go into the gym. And within 15 minutes, he's trying to lift weights. And he just couldn't lift. He just had no strength. And then he'd just get all jittery and shaky. And I'm like, Tom, stop this crap. Just do it one time. Listen to me and try it. The guy had no problem at all, and he lifted real heavier, easily 50 to 70 pounds more lift weight, just right out of the gate. But we didn't go over there until 2 hours later. I just said, you can't do this. Your body can't do two things at the same time. Trying to serve two masters at the same time, and one's in India and the other one's down in Australia. It ain't going to happen. It just ain't going to happen. And that's the same thing with him, and it might be the same issue that you're having. You're just not getting the recovery time you need before you start using up all these calories for that exercise.
Yeah. And so let me ask you this also. So is it more important to drink a lot of water before you go or just during your walk?
No, it's always important to be hydrated before you attempt any kind of activity, because that activity is going to deplete your hydration. You always want to be as hydrated as you can, but again, it just depends on how far you're walking. The one thing you don't want to do is drink a whole bunch of water and then go out and try to run, 15 miles or a 10-mile run. That's not something you want to do. You want to stay hydrated as you're running, and that's the exception. But otherwise, if you're just out for a walk like you were talking about and everything else, you should always try to stay as hydrated as you can. Get that half your body weight in ounces of water per day. And then you're going to see that your demand and your need for water and your thirstiness, it's not going to be there near as prevalent as if you were dehydrated before you started your walk.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you so much.
You betcha. Anybody else have any questions? Anybody? Comments? No? Well, Dover, I don't know if you got any updates or any kind of content material you want to talk about or anything. Now's the time to kind of do that.
No, for the education call, no, I'll just keep it to what we do here on this call, and that's we get educated. There are some stuff we'll share on the leadership call at the top of the hour, but as far as this call goes, no updates that I feel that we're missing out on that we need to cover. So, yep. Okay. All right. Well, if no one has a question or comment for Ron, then we can wrap up this call and make it a
Hey, Dover, I got a quick
early call.
Quick question I want to ask here, Ron. Just in regards to the lymphatic system, what's one of the best ways to kind of get the, this lymphatic system moving and drained, and just making sure there's not much toxins building up in the lymphatic system?
Right. Well, first of all, let's define the lymphatic system. Lymphatics is a drainage system for toxicity. In fact, about 60 to 70% of the entire immune system cells that make up the human immune system can be found in the lymphatics. That's how much toxicity there is there. There's a huge amount of white blood cells that clean up toxicity in the lymphatics. And the lymphatic system is just a little fluid system just below your deepest layer of skin. And it's just kind of a little drainage where your body gets rid of excessive toxins. And so the best thing, they actually do this for astronauts. The best thing to stimulate and maintain a healthy lymphatics is called the rebounder. That little teeny little rebound, it's like the, what do they call those backyard trampolines? It's like a little trampoline. It's in your house. It's probably only not more than maybe 2 feet wide. And you just bounce up and down. And then they have chairs for disabled people like quadriplegics and stuff. They're like little mini bungee cords, and you sit in there, and they strap you in, and then they start bouncing you up and down. But the up and down motion, whether it's jogging, whether it's bouncing on a rebounder, that is by far the best up and down oscillation. That's the best way to stimulate lymphatics and keep your lymphatics clean. There are the shiatsu machines where you lay flat on your back, and then they go back and forth, and you put your ankles on them, and they got different speeds, and then they also have different time lengths that you lay down on the floor. But it's that back and forth motion, and when you're laying down, it's back and forth. If you're standing up, but it's up and down. But that keeps your lymphatics clean. And there really isn't a product outside of a digestive enzyme that would actually have any influence on cleaning or getting the lymphatic system cleaned up. Enzymes are the only thing that would do that because they break down proteins and things, make it easier to eliminate. But there is no products or anything that you can take to drain the lymphatics. That all takes exercise. And when I mean exercise, you can just be on that little rebounder, just bouncing up and down, watching TV. You're not running anywhere. You're just bouncing up and down. Or get yourself one of those bungee sling chairs, and you can just literally bounce up and down with your feet, and you can watch TV, and they just sit in them. And they're basically for really old seniors, more so for quadriplegics and paralyzed people, because it is important to keep your lymphatics cleaned, and that takes daily bouncing or some kind of an activity to that nature.
Do you recommend a time, like how long roughly?
Well, that's good. You're going to feel it. I mean, you're going to be extremely fatigued. You're going to start getting headaches. You're going to start getting a whole bunch of too much toxicity being released at too short a time. So I always tell everybody, when you're on a rebounder and stuff, you don't want to do more than 5 to 7 minutes when you first start for the first week. Eventually, you want to get up to where you're doing about 20 to 25 minutes a day. And like I said, whether it's laying on the floor with that shiatsu machine, there's about 4 or 5 different models you can get at brand names. Or whether you're doing the rebounder, start slow, because that stimulation, once that bouncing and stuff, that movement, it starts to stimulate that lymphatic release. That is toxicity coming out of that system. And your body's going to react to it, and you're going to get really super tired and sore. So start slow.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome. Anyone else? Questions, comments?
Yes, Ron, we do have a question in the chat here. Let me pull it up here. It's from James, and James says, "Can we prevent getting cold sores, herpes, and when you do get them, what's the best thing to do to correct them?"
Well,
herpes,
as far as
cold sores.
Yeah, preventing, really just wash your hands, watch who you kiss. You know, if there's cold sore visible on your wife or your girlfriend or something, you don't want to be coming in contact with that until about 48 hours later, because then the virus has actually died off and the cold sore starts to dry up. There really, there is, magnesium, I believe, and zinc. Zinc is a big immune builder. It's huge. But I think it's magnesium and zinc. There is some kind of a supplement for cold sores. And I can't remember the name of it. But usually you have a cold sore or you're getting a cold sore. And what that supplement does, it actually shortens the time you have a cold sore. For me, most people have a cold sore from 4 to 6 days, and you can literally shorten it down to about 2.5 days. With that, I think it's called cold ease or something like that. But as far as preventing one, not really. Just keep your hands clean, keep your face washed. Those are the best things you can do to prevent viruses from landing on your skin and creating cold sores. So hopefully that helped answer his question. And as far as like treating it or anything, no, just don't pick at it. I know that's hard to do. And you can take witch hazel, which has a lot of alcohol in it, and that actually dries the skin. So you can actually dry it up.
How you spell eczema?
What's that? Well, hang on a second. Let me finish with the cold sore, because eczema and cold sores have nothing to do with each other.
Yeah. You're good, Ron. Go ahead.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's about all I can think of as far as like cold sores and what to do for them if you got them. And like I said, keep your hands clean, keep your face clean. That is your best prevention of having cold sores. And then, like I said, don't be kissing on your girlfriend or your wife or your kids or anything else if they actually have an open cold sore. always wait for at least 48 hours till after it started seeping fluid before you, even yourself, you should never try to squeeze it or touch it because that virus is inside that fluid. So once that cold sore pops and you get that fluid leakage there for usually a day, you can spread that cold sore to other areas of your body. And you can really get a serious infection from a cold sore called impetigo. And that's usually got a lot of really bad bacteria in it that just spreads. And it's rare, but you can do that. And it's really, really unpleasant because everywhere you touch, once it starts going, it gets really itchy. And any of that fluid, just even a little bit, you move it around on your face, your arms, guess what? You're going to start getting breakouts all over the place, every place you touch. So, but anyway, now somebody has a question, and hopefully, James, that answers your question. Somebody had a question about eczema, and what were you wanting to know about that?
Well, I think that particular question was for the spelling, but I do have a question in the chat, Ron, that is from Van that says that he has people that have an itchy eczema, psoriasis.
Yep.
What can they do to heal themselves?
Best thing they could do is, first of all, clean out the lymphatics. Now we're going to go right back to the importance of cleaning out the lymphatics because seborrhea, psoriasis, eczema, all those really bad cracking and itching of your skin, the scaling, the redness, the purpleness, all of that, that's because of a really polluted lymphatic system. That lymphatic system is trapped. It can no longer drain. And when it gets trapped and plugged up like that, there's only one place for all of that toxicity to go, and your body's going to try to push it right through your skin because your skin is the largest elimination organ of the human body. It's got very big pores, and you can push things out of there if need be, if the body becomes too toxic. And that's exactly what happens that causes psoriasis, seborrhea, eczema. It's because of a toxic lymphatic system, and your body's just literally trying to get rid of that toxicity, and it's just pushing it through the skin. And again, always going to get trapped because there's just too much, and it's not a big enough elimination pathway to get rid of all the toxins. And so it gets trapped, you get bacteria, you actually get cakiness of the skin, and you actually get, it plugs up the nutrients and the hydration to the skin, and that's when you get what they call plaque psoriasis, where your skin actually cracks and bleeds. And that's how bad your infection can get. And that's how plugged up your lymphatics really are. So those are all just typical skin conditions. They'll say there's a hereditary component to it. Absolutely there is. It's more about lack of digestion, lack of good elimination, lack of exercise, but there is a huge digestive deficiency component to that. It just goes on from parents to kids and so on and so forth. So that's the thing you can do for it is the digestive enzymes. That's one of that and the probiotics. They're the two best things you could do for anything to do with the lymphatics, especially your skin conditions like psoriasis and eczema. Creams are just going to soften your skin. They're not going to prevent anything to do with plaque psoriasis. They're not going to get rid of it because, again, it's under the skin. It's a toxicity environment of the lymphatics that causes all those skin conditions. So in order to get rid of it, you have to start taking enzymes and being able to get rid of toxicity, not allowing it to become toxicity in the body. Take your enzymes every meal, clean up your body and the probiotics. Do as much as you can for the digestive process, and then you'll see that your skin starts to clear up naturally. It takes several months, but you'll start to see improvements after a few weeks. So hopefully that answered his question.
All right, thank you. And Van says thank you in the chat.
The only other thing I'd say to add into that whole eczema thing is the aloe max, because aloe is going to repair your skin. It's going to heal the heck out of it real fast, real good. and especially plaque psoriasis and psoriasis in general. You have seborrhea, which is kind of a reddish and inflammation. Then you have the eczema, and then you have the psoriasis. And psoriasis is the worst. And plaque psoriasis is the worst of all psoriasis. And that's just kind of the progression and the severity of those kind of conditions. But aloe will help to heal the skin. So there's definitely a healing component, and then there's that toxicity component that you address with the enzymes and probiotics.
Okay. Does anyone else have a question before we wrap up the call for Ron?
Yeah, I do. Can you hear me?
Hey, Kathy. Yep, I can.
Hi.
Hi, this is Kathy Deason. Ron, is there anything I can do for balance, or is that more exercises that I need to do? Is it just as I've gotten older, my balance is awful?
Yeah, you know, they talk about this Eubanks guy on TV where you got that rocker left and right. Instead of going spending out a whole bunch of money, just cut off yourself about a 2x10 or a 2x12, about 3 feet wide, and then just set a, you know, you don't really want to set a ball underneath of it, but set something under it where you could actually move yourself left and right.
Yeah.
That's going to help tremendously just with your balance. Just a left and right movement to where you can move and you're forced to balance and use those muscles. You don't have to go back and forth, just left and right is going to help you use your twitch muscles, they're called. And that'll actually help you with your balance. And then whatever you put under there, make sure that it's not any higher than probably 4 to 5 inches. You shouldn't need more than 4 to 5 inches off the floor on either side. It's kind of like what do they call those? A teeter-totter at a playground?
Yeah.
But only do it on the floor and just put something small underneath there, just enough to elevate you off of the ground for about 6 inches on each end. And then make sure you have a chair in front of you. Turn your chair backwards. And then you hold on to the chair, but make sure you're moving your legs and stuff. And then gradually try to let go of the chair and keep going back and forth, back and forth. You will get your balance back that way. I mean, Bob Eubank is his name. He's got that thing for seniors and stuff. It's a couple $100, and you could achieve the same thing, like I said, with about a 3 foot 2x10, 2x4.
Okay. I figured that was more working with my muscles on that. The other question was, I think it was the last week you had said that red heart algae is good for the eyes. Was that what it was?
It's beautifully good for your eyes. Because go ahead.
Would I add the bilberry to it also? Would that be good too? Because I've taken bilberry before.
Yeah, both of them together would work really, really well. But I mean, I really didn't realize that the retina had such a huge deterioration to it because of oxidation. This free red algae is the highest free radical scavenger you can get a hold of. So it's great for preservation of eye health.
Okay.
It's even great to help the body repair eye health. Yeah.
Okay, I thought that's what you had said, and I was going to write it down, and I didn't. Okay, that helps me a lot. Right. Thank you, Ron.
Okay, you betcha. Anybody else have any last questions? Anybody? No? Okay, we could probably wrap up the call for tonight then, Dover.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ron. Appreciate you being here and answering those questions. And thank you, Sanj and Kathy and Van and James for your questions. Ronnie, we appreciate you guys and your questions. Again, we'll be here next week, same time. And Ron, thanks again. We appreciate all that you do for all of us. So everyone have a fantastic evening, and we'll make this a wrap. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron, and thank you, Dover.
Hi, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.